Welcome to the Full-Time FBA Show. In each episode, it's our goal to help you turn part-time hours into a full-time income selling almost anything on Amazon. And now, your hosts of the show, Stephen and Rebecca Smotherman.
Welcome to episode number 299 of the Full-Time FBA Show. I'm a little excited.
I can tell.
We're one away from 300. Anyway, today on the show, we are talking about beyond sourcing, more ways that a VA can help supercharge your Amazon business. And to talk with us is my wife, Rebecca. What up, Rebecca?
Hello. So glad that we're talking about VAs again. Like I said last week, this is one of my favorite topics to talk about. And so I'm really excited that we're going to just keep talking about it.
Well, let's keep talking about it right after this little musical interlude on the Full-Time FBA Show.
So like I said, the topic of outsourcing is one of my favorites to talk about on the podcast, or just really anytime I'm talking about business. It's been such a key way for us to scale to the point where we have the flexibility to work on the projects we value in our business rather than always trying to cram more into each day. So I'm really looking forward to talking about ways to utilize the work of a VA in your Amazon business beyond sourcing for inventory. But before we do that, I want to make sure you're subscribed to the Full-Time FBA weekly newsletter. You can do that at fulltimefba.com/subscribe. And this is the best way to stay up to date on all that's going on in the Amazon world and the strategies that we teach at Full-Time FBA. We send out an email at least once a week, and we include news about Amazon, upcoming trainings that we put on, the latest on best practices for reselling. It's a lot of great info, and we strive to keep it action-oriented so that you can get practical help for your business. Again, go to fulltimefba.com/subscribe to make sure you're signed up today.
And on that note, let's get started talking about one of the best practices we know for optimizing your FBA business, hiring a VA, also known as a virtual assistant. Last week, we talked all about having a virtual assistant to help you in the sourcing aspects of your FBA business. And if you are not getting help from an assistant in some sort when it comes to your sourcing, you're likely spinning your wheels and wearing yourself out rather than saving your brain power and your energy to use on important buying decisions. And so if you haven't listened already, be sure to go back and listen to episode 298 about outsourcing your sourcing like a pro.
Now, this week, we're going to shift gears a bit and talk about other ways a VA can truly revolutionize how you spend your time, efforts, and money in your Amazon business. We have been working with VAs for, oh goodness, I don't know how long. Probably close to 10 years.
Yep, probably.
It
sounds
took us,
right.
Yeah. It took us a while before we found someone we wanted to hire full time. For a while, we worked with multiple VAs on an as-needed basis. We would have a time-sensitive project we needed help with, and we would get someone from Fiverr or Upwork to help us on and off. And this worked for us for a period of time, but eventually it was just really clear that we needed someone who could help us on an ongoing basis and could get to know the ins and outs of our business so that we could hand over tasks and create SOPs or standard operating procedures and not have to be so hands-on in directing them how to do their work. Right now, aside from our VA sourcing team, I have a full-time assistant who's been working with me for several years on a daily basis. And she does so much in our business. We've spent a lot of time, years literally, in the process of refining what her daily tasks are. She has a schedule and she prioritizes tasks that she works through on a regular basis, and she keeps track of all of that. I don't have to assign it to her. She just knows what she's doing. And some of those tasks are daily, some are weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. And then others are things that I ask her to do as they come up. And I honestly could not imagine trying to run my business without her at this point.
So why don't we get into some of the nitty-gritty details of what those tasks are?
Perfect. I love getting into the details.
Now, some of the things that we're going to talk about in this section of the show are tasks that our specific VA does, and others are things that our VA can do, but might not necessarily take care of it right now. We do have an account manager also. We've talked on the show before. I interviewed Karen Locker previously. She's from Solutions for E-commerce, which is a VA hiring program that helps you take care of a lot of your account management. We love her services, and you can listen to the episode fulltimefba.com/257, or you can learn directly about our services by going to fulltimefba.com/account manager.
Right. And all of those ideas that we're about to give you right now are things that my personal VA can do, even if she's not doing them for us right now, because honestly, I could use more than one VA's full-time help. I can only give my current VA so many assignments at a time because she's also just one person and she's limited in what she can do time-wise. But anyway, the first and most obvious set of tasks for you to outsource to a VA are any back-end Seller Central, mundane, and repetitive tasks. Amazon knows you need help with this, and they've created super easy ways for you to set up permissions for an assistant to do any number of tasks in your Seller Central account. It ranges everywhere from handling your reimbursements or your unfulfillable inventory to reconciling your inbound shipments, keeping track of your excess inventory, all of those types of things, all the way to managing your ads. You can set up user permissions for someone skilled in any of those areas and step back from taking care of it yourself.
And the awesome thing about getting an assistant to help you with these types of tasks is that many of them will actually make money for you. These tasks, they can help you make some good money. You won't just be paying someone to buy back your time. You'll actually be paying someone who can find reimbursement money for you, who will reconcile your shipments for you to make sure that all of your inventory is sent in and live on Amazon and accounted for. You can have an assistant help with ads. You can also help speed up your sales and help increase your revenue. You can even get some help with feedback, and the better feedback scores you get, the more sales you get. So obviously, the number one way is that you can outsource your VA to benefit your business is by giving you more time to do CEO level tasks. But it isn't just about time. You can outsource many tasks that can help you actually make money.
And along those lines, you can have a VA help with pricing and repricing. A VA can make sure your automatic repricer is set up correctly and functioning well. They can check your excess inventory for you to make sure it's priced correctly and competitively. And manual repricing can be a beast. So if you're still doing that, you could have a VA help with that on occasion. All of this depends on what your inventory levels are and basically how many ASINs you keep in stock. Any of those tasks that take place in your Seller Central backend and involve going through lists and lists of inventory and doing repetitive tasks, those are things you can train a VA to take care of, and then it just magically gets done.
And that's exactly what it feels like, magic. I mean, like we mentioned in our previous episode, all of our VAs live in the Philippines, which is exactly 12-hour time difference from here. So when we're sleeping, they're working. And it does feel like magic sometimes to wake up and check on our Amazon business and find that all this work has been magically done overnight.
Okay, so moving on, the next thing I have my VA handle for me on a regular basis is running reports and keeping them organized for me. I love to look at our numbers in our business. Sales numbers, profit numbers, inventory numbers. Sometimes it can get overwhelming though, but it's really necessary to keep track of it if we want to make sure that our business is actually profitable. And I do. That's why we're doing our business, is to make money.
Yep.
So one thing my VA does on a biweekly or monthly basis is put together various reports for me to check out and make sure things are running smoothly. Some of those reports come from Seller Central and others come from Inventory Lab. This is one of the main ways I keep track of how we're doing for our quarterly and annual goals. And it's also how I know our inventory levels and whether we need to restock on any replens.
Another thing that we use our VAs for is helping to manage our wholesale side of our Amazon business. Using wholesale as a method to get FBA inventory, I mean, it opens up all sorts of opportunities to outsource many aspects of your business. And one of the biggest ways is by managing our email to our suppliers with potential new accounts. I mean, they help us organize and prioritize our wholesale leads and just keep all of our processes running smoothly. At every step of the process with wholesale sourcing, we need our VAs to help us with that and keep it really going well. From leads to new accounts to keeping things running with our established accounts. And then, like Rebecca said, helping keep track of our inventory levels so that we make sure that we can reorder on time so that we don't actually go out of stock on these replens.
Yeah, basically anything with a spreadsheet the VA can help with.
Exactly.
Because I have a love-hate relationship with spreadsheets. They are so helpful and our business absolutely cannot function without them, but they're also tiresome. And I just get exhausted thinking about them sometimes. They make my eyes cross. So anything involving a spreadsheet that I can hand over to the VA is a win for me. I mean, flat files for Amazon, price lists for suppliers, any type of report. If she can do it and I don't have to, it is more than worth her hourly wage.
Which is like super affordable. So to finish up, we want to let you know that we have a training coming up tomorrow night called the Blueprint to Online Arbitrage Success. We'll be discussing essential strategies for sourcing online inventory for your FBA business. And if you're listening to this episode on the day it drops, then the training will go live 7 p.m. Central on Tuesday, July 8th. We'd love to see you there. And we're going to get into the exciting topic of online arbitrage and how you need to set up that side of your Amazon sourcing strategies for success. So be sure you're registered fulltimefba.com/OA Blueprint. And if you're listening to this after July 8th, that link might go to the replay.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Full-Time FBA Show. As a reminder, all of the links in the show notes from this episode can be found at fulltimefba.com/299. Because we're on episode number 299, Stephen, next week.
Next week on the show is going to be our 300th episode. You got to join us for that because we got a special treat for you. So join us next week on the 300th episode of the Full-Time FBA Show.
That's all for this episode of the Full-Time FBA Show. So head over to fulltimefba.com/podcast, where you'll find the show notes and links from this episode. While you're there, subscribe to our newsletter where you'll get several free downloads of our popular and helpful Amazon FBA resources. Now, take action on what you've learned today so you can find success at turning part-time hours into a full-time income with Amazon FBA.